Good morning. Welcome to the Spiritual Network. Look at my kitty. It's like 6:45 in the morning. I thought I'd make a video because it's beautiful outside. And I haven't made one in a week. So here we go. It is May 26th, 2024. We just had the full moon in Sag. How's everybody feeling? Got energy good? It was really good for me. I had a lot of energy yesterday, a lot more than I've had in a while. I didn't know what I wanted to do a video about, but I pulled some cards, and Spirit wants me to talk about my past of the no equal give and take and how my spiritual journey started. So my spiritual journey started actually right whenever I moved out of my ex-boyfriend's house. So I lived with him for a year. He triggered everything within me, you know, like he wasn't the big catalyst of my spiritual awakening. It was the guy I met after him, but he literally was awful. Like he would lie about where he was, and maybe he didn't lie as much as I thought he did, but it still triggered something within me. And I just realized, you know, like I kept catching him cheating. Like I kept seeing him talk to other women, and they would literally make fun of me. And I would bring it up to him, and he would be like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, or you're right, I shouldn't have said that, that was awful, and some bullshit like that. So then I realized, like, it like came out of nowhere. Like I realized, man, I deserve so much more than this. Like, why am I settling for this bullshit? Why am I allowing somebody to literally talk to other women and then lie to me about it right to my face when we both can see the messages? He literally was gaslighting me right in front of my face, and I finally was like, what the fuck? And I just woke up to this, you know, epiphany of, I'm a person, like I have feelings, and you're not validating my feelings at all. And I just felt so defeated within this relationship. So I left him and I moved in with my dad. So the part that woke me up was literally just me finally realizing, like, I don't have to put up with bullshit like this. Like, I don't have to. And so I moved in with my dad, and it was good at first, you know, like everything was fine. And I started seeing another guy, and that's when like everything started to break down within me. Like I literally left one guy that was treating me like shit to get into a relationship with somebody else who treated me about the same. So before I was spiritually awakened, because I hadn't had my spiritual knowledge yet, I look back at it now and I realized that was, for one, there was two things that I really messed up on. Was one, I didn't heal in between those relationships. I literally went from one guy to another guy, and it was to take off all the pain from the guy before. So that's how I would cope with relationships, is I would go from one relationship to another relationship, and I've done that within my whole life. Like, I was just talking to my mom yesterday on our walk, and I was telling her, like, I've been single for 3 years. This is the first time since I was 15 years old that I've been single this long, which is crazy. And then the second thing that I messed up on was I didn't become friends with this guy, the second guy, before we got intimate or anything like that. We went straight to it. And then for 2.5 years, I was literally back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with this guy. But that's beside the point. The main catalyst was no equal give and take. I realized I deserve so much better than this. And as soon as I made that step to leave and pick myself, that's when things started to advance. Not really quickly, it was very slow. I went through a lot of pain with the second guy. Like, not him, he didn't go through pain, I don't think. I did. Like, it was awful. It was probably the worst experience of my life, worst relationship, worst anything of my life, because it was just so painful, because it brought out all these insecurities within me. Not only was it painful, but it was like, how can you, I never in my life understood how somebody can love somebody so much and the other person just not care, just not give a fuck. I've never dealt with that before. It was so hard for me because I have such a genuine heart, and I literally just love people. Like, I never understood how somebody can just look at you and not have any feelings. And that's what this guy did. Like, he had no feelings whatsoever. He didn't care. He didn't, like, he literally would tell me, like, he would love bomb me all the time. Like, he would make me feel so important and then leave and not talk and not ever, just not say anything to me for months. And so I would say something, and I would tell him how much I cared about him, and I would, you know, and it would never change the outcome. No matter how many times we would like not talk and then come back together, like, it was like it didn't matter what I said. There was like a block, a wall up. And I thought, being the person that I am and what I used to do, was I would see, like, I can still to this day see the pain. Like, I can see that he was not authentic. He was not who he says that he, you know, he had a lot of issues, and I think that he thought that nobody would ever understand him. So he literally would just not have any feelings. He would just shut down. He wouldn't say anything to me. And so me, being the person that I am, thinks, I can fix this, okay? I can fix this. I'm going to make it right. No matter, I can do something more. I can be, like, I automatically thought it was me. Like, I can be better. I can do better. Like, I can, you know, change if you want me to change. Like, because back then I was unhealed and I would conform. And so that is what whenever he would do this, it would literally bring that out in me. So I was like, okay, well, I'm conforming now. Well, after you go back a year later, I look back and I'm like, that's what I was doing. I was a people pleaser. I wanted him to love me so bad that I would change and do things that are out of my moral and values just to be with him. And if you really think about it, it's so sad. Like, it's so awful that I was in so much pain that I would change who I am just to be able to spend some time with this guy. You know, and it took me going back to this, you know, he would ghost me, and then about 2 months later, I couldn't handle it anymore, and so I'd message him, and then we'd do this for literally 2.5 years. We did this. And I remember going into his room one day, and I was like, you know, I've known you for 2.5 years, right? And he's like, or I think I said like like a year and a half. He's like, no, it's been longer than that. It's been like 2 years. And I went home that day, and I was like, 2.5 years I have been with no relationship. There was no title on our relationship or whatever it was. And I didn't see other guys. I didn't go out on dates. I didn't like get that love from anybody else. I still haven't, after 3 years of being single. But for that whole time, I didn't get the emotional validation that I deserved. I didn't get the love that I deserved, because I was giving it to a guy that did not want anything to do with me. He never took me on dates. We never went. The only thing we did was hang out and then fuck. And like, it's like, you would think that somebody who's done this for 2.5 years, that I would finally see that that's all he wanted. But it was so bad that I would see the good in him no matter what, and I would disrespect myself because I could see what he could potentially be one day. And I always say that. I even say that to this day, that one day he will be a good man. He will be a good husband and all this stuff. Like, I still tell myself this, but it's like, he never showed me that. All I could just feel was his energy, and I knew he was hurt. Like, he had probably went through some shit whenever he was a kid. And I would use that as an excuse to be like, it's okay for, you know, him to treat me like this, because I can still see that he loves me. He never loved me. And it was like, I would play these delusions in my head. And the weird thing is, like, he never called me names. He never treated me, like, he never was, like, awful to me until, like, the end. I think finally, which is so weird, because it was 2.5 years, his mask finally came off. Like, I was walking with my sister, and, like, he was in a truck, and I knew that like, we would still fight like we were together. It was so stupid. And, like, I knew he was with somebody, and I was like, where are you? And I was like, you're lying to me. And he fucking freaked out on me and called me a fat ass one day, and was like, you need to be fucking walking, you're a fat ass, or something like that. And I was like, what? Like, you've never ever talked to me like this. After 2.5 years of bullshit, you've never talked to me like this. And so I was like, fuck it. And I literally blocked him in June of 2021, and I have not talked to him. Like, we've talked one time, I think, because we literally I ran into him at a sober living house, and that was the last time we talked. And so, like, whenever he did that, whenever he called me those names, it was like it took all of that and then for him to call me one name, and I was like, no bitch, and I blocked them. And it was just so stupid. But like, I never talked to him again. I haven't even been with another man since then, because I see red flags in everything. So he did help me heal, you know, like he helped me see what I deserve. But I finally let go, and I put a death to that relationship, and that's when things start to really change for me. So I was just thinking, like, I've totally put this off talking about this because it's always been something that is lingering. Like, I've always just wondered what could have been, like, if we both would have been healed, and like, just stupid shit, you know. And so like, it's very hard for me to actually even talk about this because it brings up a lot of bullshit that it still hurts my heart. I'm not sure if it like hurts my heart because I was in so much pain that I just let somebody do this over and over and over again, and all I wanted was love. Like, that's all I wanted. And it makes you really think, like, what has had to happen to you to get to that position? Or if it was because I wanted him to heal too. Like, I wanted him to be where I'm at right now. And I've always thought that he could. And I just, when I've heard the things he's still using and stuff like that, and I know he could be better. But he was a big catalyst. He was a big reason why, you know, things changed. Once I let go of that relationship, I just did this internal purging of things from my past, my childhood, and everything like that. You know, and this brings us back to like the spiritual aspect of everything. Why do people come into our lives? Even the ones that we think are supposed to last forever, and when it doesn't, your heart breaks whenever you realize how your behaviors are and how you've treated people, and how, you know, and this doesn't just go for men, this is for women too. Women can be awful, you know, like, how did I called him names, I would cuss him out, I would, you know, like, because it was all of this internal triggers that I had from not being accepted, abandonment issues, being ghosted all the time. All these things, like, just festered up, and you just, you know, you get mad and you explode. And those are the triggers we have to use in these relationships in order to change, even if they don't want to change, changing yourself for the next person that comes in. It's very important to heal from other relationships, you know, take time in between those relationships, because if you're not taking that time, then you obviously think that you weren't the problem, and we are all the problem. There's no relationship that ends that doesn't have people on both sides of it that haven't done anything. We all have done stuff, even little things, you know, little behaviors. So like, looking within in between those relationships is a huge deal. And knowing what your triggers are. Like, if you're triggered about something, if something makes you upset or something makes you mad, there's always a reason for it. Our emotions are our tools in order to heal, big time. So whenever like you start to get mad and you start to call people out their name, you have an issue. Like, you need to look within and ask yourself, why do you feel like you need to degrade somebody because you're having an argument? And I had to look deep within that, about that same issue. I was really bad about that. But we all want our divine union. We all want to be with our divine counterpart. And if we're not looking within and finding out how we can change our frequency within these relationships, we'll never get there. Because God's not going to bless you with something if you're not going to be able to sustain it. So if you're not able to sustain a relationship because you have triggers, you're mad, you're jealous, you got control issues, you are, you know, speaking out, talking down to people, he's not going to give you your divine counterpart if you're going to hurt them. And that's the main goal within our relationship. If you want your divine, you have to heal. You have to heal from all the childhood abandonment wounds, control issues, jealousy. It's just part of this game. So anyways, if you feel like this resonates with you, if you're on your healing journey, we're all on our healing journey. But if you want a reading, you know, something more personal to see where you're at in your journey and what you need to work on, all of my website stuff is in the description box below, and you can just email me. And that's it. I hope everybody's doing well, and like and subscribe. I need more subscribers, and likes and share. So Anyways, have a good day, guys.